Jesus. Cannabis. Cannabis smoke. 1777. Grammy. Rebecca. Stelly Barnabas, Oregon. Stepbrother. Touched by prayer. This is, hi there. This is my son's brand new album, I Dare You Not to Worship To. It's called Meditations. I'm going to let you just soak for a minute. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that absolutely exquisite? This is the new album by my son, Jean-Marc Ledoux, and it's called Meditations. And I'll show you the graphic for it. This is how, he'll be like, Mom, you're so like Stone Age. But jeanmarcledoux.com, on his homepage, you will see the album of Meditations. And I absolutely, thank you, Amy, and thank you for those of you who watched, and thank you, Lisa, for the awesome interview last night. The name of the album is Meditations. And I absolutely dare you not to worship experiencing this album. He calls it the perfect combination of cinematic and chill. I'll show you the album cover, and I will play it again for you guys later today in this broadcast. But I want you to, where did you go? The album cover looks like this. This is his website, Jean-Marc Ledoux. It's the perfect combination of cinematic and chill, and it is so fresh, so beautifully orchestrated, with so many different textures and sounds and ideas and classical thought going into modern freeform music that it literally just takes you to a new place. I don't think you guys will have found anything like it. I don't think you will experience music in the same way as you will when you listen to this album. They're only about 3 minutes each. There are 7 tracks. They're all absolutely gorgeous, and there are no words, no voices. He thought about having me add voices, and the more I listened to his album, again, it's called Meditations, and you go to Jean-Marc Ledoux and you can get it there, and I'll play it for you again. I listened to it thinking, because I love to write lyrics, I love to sing, and I can always find my way to worm my way in to play with a great orchestration or band. But I'll tell you, when I listened to the music that he created, there was no need for anything else. I did come up with some spoken word ideas to whisper in punctuated points, just little whispers, just little thoughts. But even that, you know, he may re-release it with some spoken word meditations over it, but not like anything you've ever heard. I promise you. I promise you guys. Absolutely gorgeous and so moving and so refreshing. You know, last night I was on Lisa Perna's show, Touched by Prayer, and we had to be touched by prayer just to get on the air, didn't we, Lisa? And so thank you, Preacher's Kid, Grammy Pam, Darren, Luann, Janice 177, Barnabas, Donna, Gloria, Susan, Linda, Amy, Rebecca, 6 more. Thanks for joining in. I know everybody's busy with Amy Coney Barrett, and I don't blame you. I really don't. There's so much going on. But I wanted to bring you this album today, and I really want to encourage you to reach out and download it, to go to jeanmarcledoux.com and get it. And I'm going to play it again. All I'm going to be playing for the next 7 days, I'm going to play you a different track every day from this album, and then we'll be interviewing him. Because, you know, you guys have heard me go on my rants about modern rock worship forms and how they have served a purpose, but it's time for something fresh. And this is just one piece of the puzzle. And something just is loosed again. And you may hear less of me talk today and more of this music because it is so powerful. And it's the kind of thing we really need because it changes us sonically. And sounds, of course, have waves, right? And frequencies involved with them. And it's really important that we get those positive, life-filling frequencies. You know, I did this interview with Lisa Perna last night. We got on this topic of worship, and I kind of let loose. And so it's a joy to bring you something that I think is actually a healing sound for your body and your mind. And his album tracks are called Skipping, Tempest, Figures, Waiting, Heartache, Joy, Emergence. And they're totally not your expected thing. Like anytime you've ever gone to a spa and you hear music and you think, wow, you know, that's so relaxing. I tell you, that is like inane compared to what's here, even though we like, you know, the smooth sounds that help us rest and relax. So anyway, I'm going to play that for you again. And just encourage you guys. It's, you know, how many days? You know, we only got 19 days until delivery day. We're pregnant. We're just getting ready. We're popping. And I know about me, those last 10 days, you know, were so tough. And then my first child was 10 days late. So, you know, you just like want to explode. And we're carrying so much. And I just want to encourage you, stay and hang on. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep taking back your authority over the things that you have influence over. Don't go silent. Don't go dark. Don't go passive. I talked about this yesterday, and I talked about it at length. That was a really, really interesting discussion, and maybe I should just direct you to Lisa Perna's replay because on her Touched by Prayer Facebook page, I'm sure the whole interview is there, and you can go back. We dished for about an hour about fear and about authority and about why it's not just enough for us to pray that God will make us feel better and just relieve us of emotions associated with fear, and just kind of, you know, just give me peace, just make it go away, just, you know, sparkle, you know, Jesus sparkle dust over me. And why sometimes our teaching in the church, even though it's based on scriptures where God tells us not to be afraid, sometimes we don't process that in a way that makes us take responsibility for the actual change that has to take place in us, so fear can't live here. Lisa suggested that I get t-shirts made, and I actually have a logo already made. It says, "Fear can't live here." It's going to be across the front. And yes, it was good, and Lisa's a great, you know, really engaged interviewer, and wow, she makes you look really good. So if you ever get a chance to be on our show, you should do it. But when you think about fear can't live here, what are the metrics? What are the calculations. You know, what are the requirements that have to be in place so fear can't land on you? You have to have things in place in your life, in your thinking, in your habits, in your words, in your ownership that creates a space fear can't land on, at least not easily. I'm sure we all, in an area of deepest vulnerability, you know, we all have those, you know, moments where it seems like all bets are off and oh my gosh, I'm just really caught on my back foot, as they say in England, where there's some disequilibrium and all of a sudden we remember an old fear feeling, or you go, yeah, here she's got it in the chat. If you go to her website, touchedbyprayer.com, you can check out that interview we did last night when I think we were half an hour late because of technical difficulties. So I think we just decided we were going to make up for it by going way longer than she normally does. But yeah, so there have to be things in place that make us a place where fear can't land. You know, it's kind of like on a building when you see a beautiful building and then you see a building with like bird poop all over it because they know they can rest in the eaves, and you know they'll be in the tree above your car or be on the edging of a window or something like the sill of a window. And then there are buildings where they put those little spikes up so the birds can't land. So there's no place for them to go. And these are the kinds of things that we put into place by learning the life skill of fear-free living. And learning the life skill of what has to, yes, Lisa says, or on her YouTube channel, which is probably Touched by Prayer or Lisa Perna, so go. It's really good. I probably am all talked out today compared to our conversation last night. But we want to have those things built into our life, again, our character, where we don't allow certain things to land. And so it's, for some of us, a lot has already landed and a lot has already pooped on the edifice of our life. You know, the birds have already come and rooted in there and nested in there. And nobody taught us that it was possible to live without fear. To live without fear controlling you. You might experience an emotion, but to live in a place of such deep stability that there are things you just never have to revisit. You see, when you are not grounded and when you don't have the defenses and the offensive moves and the changes made to your brain and your thinking and your emotions, you might live in stability, but then there will always be instability and always kind of a I'm not sure, or the feeling at any moment that something could be pulled out from under you or dropped on top of you, right? That something could come out of heaven and just wipe you out. And I lived like that for years and years and years. Even in my best moments, even in my happiest times with God and my most secure, I could hear voices say to me things like, don't get too big for your britches there, Julie. We can take you out anytime we want. I literally heard that. I heard it one day, most profoundly related to my journey, when I was overcoming stage fright. And I talked a lot about that last night and the things I had to do to learn about how social anxiety, stage fright, panic, how they change the body and how you can unchange that. And I had to first believe it was possible to reorient my body. I had to first believe that wiring could be changed, and that if God's word is true, then it's not just an idea that I just suffer toward in the kingdom to come, but that that really actually changes me. That I can get his DNA, I can get his mind. I think about that a lot. I want the mind of Christ and the memory of Christ. I don't want to just kind of let my brain, fizzle and do the things it likes to do on its own. I'm like, no. If there's a reality to the mind of Christ and the healing that was paid for at the cross, then I'm confessing and going after a brilliant brain that remembers and is on point and clear and remembers the names of stuff like forks, where nominal aphasia ceases to have a place, where you don't have to, worry about some of the things Joe Biden has to right now. And so, first of all, you have to believe that you can actually have that kind of change all the way through you to the very core. And that it's physical and it's not just hopeful. That you're not just having a wishy hopiness. I have this wishy hopiness, this wishiness that, oh God, I wish. Have you heard people pray that? Oh God, I just wish you would. or the beggy, oh, please. Oh, all right. I hope you got, I'm hoping for this outcome, Lord. And so there's a wishy-hopey wishiness to that really doesn't change you the same way. It can create a relational conversation with God and could bring you into his presence, right? But we have to first of all believe that change can happen on all levels of our being, which is why I decided to research what happens in performance anxiety and stage fright and learn all about it, because I didn't want to be a victim anymore to something I couldn't name, I couldn't see, I couldn't understand. Because for me, it would come out of nowhere like a freight train. The first few times I performed under those circumstances, it came like a freight train, paralyzed me. I was like, here comes the train, blanking out in front of people as a young child, utterly humiliated, and it made me believe so deeply that I would be disoriented under pressure and not have the capacity to remember. And that's my oldest wiring. So even today, when I perform, I have to stand very intentionally against that oldest wiring, even though I've accomplished so much. And I remember one day when I did this, when I did a performance, and I couldn't believe how much freedom and presence I had, and I had some discomfort and some fight or flight things, but I got through it. I was present. I actually delivered something to the world as I sang and played, and I didn't fall apart. I actually did really well, and I was just at the moment where I was kind of just resting into that. And I swear to you, I heard a thought voice say to me, don't get too big in your britches, little Julie Lavender from Bakersfield, California, because next time you go to play for people, you could tank, you could forget. In fact, it's kind of like we can take you out anytime we want to. Your old thoughts, your fear, we can come get you anytime we want. And if I hadn't been so educated into the process of understanding, I promise you guys, I wouldn't have noticed the personal nature of that threat. I would have experienced it as an overwhelming sense of hopelessness and insecurity. And I would have agreed with that, and I would have taken it in on a much deeper level than I did. Fear wanted to land here. It wanted to come in and steal defeat out of the jaws of my victory. It wanted to tell me, it's like you pray for a sick person and they get well, and then Satan comes and says, yeah, but what if they get sick again? You pray for somebody and they get saved. Yeah, but what if they fall back into sin, Or, one of these things where you lose some weight. Yeah, but what if you regain it, And so this was happening, and when I realized that there was a threat, a personal threat aimed at my victory and aimed to keep me from becoming fear-free, I had to stop and say, no. I had to put up my spikes and say, no birds landing here on my sills. No. I had to say, whoa. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get freer. I'm going to take on more. I'm going to have a larger audience. I'm going to write more complicated music. I'm going for this thing. You're not getting this back. Okay? But when you're not really that aware and you're not that intentional and centered and focused and on it, fear comes as a foggy sense of insecurity and just kind of takes you out with the tide. And these are the things you wish as a young person that an older person would have come along and told you about how to know yourself. Shakespeare said, know thyself. That's one of the most amazing things. Obviously, know him, know yourself, know who you are in him, but also understand more and more about how you're made and the ways you have tended to respond and the ways you need to take responsibility and know. And it's kind of a beautiful process when you get free and you start to get healed and you don't hate what you see. Because originally, as a young person, I didn't want to know myself too well because I was pretty sure I hated myself. I was pretty sure I should be ashamed that I was ugly and my thighs were fat and, whatever young girls worry about. And my teeth were crooked and yellow and I was always putting my foot in my mouth, and I was scared of the ball and volleyball, and and I had failed and I had tried and I had so much shame. So there's a sense in which if you have a lot of that going on, you don't really want to know yourself all that well because you're a shush and you don't want anyone else to know you because you're just absolutely sure that if you really take a good look, or God really takes a good look, or someone else, that they're going to see what's really in there, and you're going to get double banished from the world. You know, in my new book, one of my characters, Chance, gets banished from his dad's laboratory, and then he gets in trouble, and he's really in trouble, and he goes, "No, I've been double banished." Ah! Because he wants to be a scientist, and so he's absolutely crushed. Sometimes we feel like if anybody really sees who we are, or we really look and we really understand what brought us to the point where we are, that we'll get banished or double banished from the world and from acceptance. But it's actually in the process, my friends, of looking deeper, staring some things in the face, really looking at what you've decided a long time ago that you believe about yourself, that you're stupid, you can't learn, that you're fat, that you're always going to be fat, that you're always going to not be enough, that your gifts and talents, and you got to look those right in the eyes. I had to look that I will fall apart in front of an audience and be absolutely humiliated and blank out thing right in the eyes and find out where it came from and how it works and how it functioned, what other people did. Was it possible to change? How did the brain work? What did the Bible say? What did God want me to do? What doors he was opening? It's a life skill, and these are the things you wish someone would have come along. You know, nowadays you see it more in parenting, where, like, here's an example. When I was in high school and in church and youth group, they just said, sex before marriage, sin, don't do it. But nobody came, and so there was this red line. But nobody took the time to teach us how to control ourselves up to the red line. Nobody taught us about the boundaries and the emotions that could suck you in, or girls and boys being friends in high school, and how often that isn't really friendship, it's actually masked attraction and crushes, and what kinds of situations you don't want to put yourself in, and how you're going to feel, and how your guard is going to drop. And those are all of the things that are mentoring life skill, know yourself, know others, be aware, that are like a mile and a half up before the red line. And I remember thinking to myself, gosh, I wish someone would have taken the time to mentor me and teach me and train me to understand erotic attraction, to understand sexuality, to understand female insecurity and male insecurity, to understand how it worked, to understand the cues and the things that would be going on and what might be happening, instead of just sort of going, whatever you do, don't cross a big red line. And so much of our lives, we live like that, especially related to fear. We've got this, I shouldn't be afraid. I should just not fear because God, help it, just help me, Lord. But nobody's taken the time to back way up from that into how it all works and what's available and what can be changed and what's possible for us and how we take that on. Like, you have a life skill of paying your bills, life skill of showing up on time to work, life skill of learning to say no and learning to say yes. And these are the things that are so exciting when we begin to experience maturity. And we go, wow, that just felt good. It just felt good to do that, just to take care of myself, to know something about life. It felt good to learn a new skill. It felt good to understand new technology. It felt good to go an extra half a block in my run. It felt good to say no to the pie and have a little less and drink some more water. It just feels good to take care of business, right? And so these are the things that we have to consider in the fear-free life, that you learned. It's all about learning, and learning how to do it, how to believe it, how to live out of it, okay? So you know what? I've chatted with you again, kind of just reprising some of the thoughts I had with Lisa Perna last night on Touched by Prayer, touchedbyprayer.com, Touched by Prayer YouTube, Touched by Prayer Facebook. It was really good. And we talked, and I ranted about some of my frustration and concern over modern worship. And then today my son released his album. And I would like you guys to take 3 minutes and enjoy something I promise you will not hear anywhere else. The perfect combination of cinematic and chill, he called it. I dare you not to worship. I dare you not to find something released in you. I dare you to not experience God as you hear this track. And I will, while it's playing, I will hold up his website and the name of the album. And you can go right now and download it. I'm going to play the first track, which is called Skipping. And tonight he's having an album release party on Facebook that I'm going to join in. You guys want to join me? At 7 p.m. on Facebook, we're having an album release party. So I'll probably hop on at 6:45, do a quick Facebook Live to tell everybody where to go. But it's so cool because he did an Instagram release party last night. People loved it because he talked about the music and he's just fun and engaging. So here we go. And let's hear Skipping by Jean-Marc Ledoux from an album that I promise you will take you into encounter with God. All right? And we're going to move on. Here we go. You ready? Close your eyes. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that absolutely exquisite? I dare you not to go to a whole new place in your quiet time, in your rest, in your meditation, in your waiting on God. There are 7 tracks on this album, and they're all, one of the most amazing things about it is they're all about 3 minutes in length. They're making you go into an experience that has a story, which has a beginning, middle, and an end, and not taking you into that endless 3-chord loop we hear now in modern worship that actually sort of, I think, is very numbing. Can you go into a story worship that takes you through a story? Can you experience God in story? And can you leave it there and just be with Him without constantly having 3 chords being played over and over, almost mindlessly, in modern worship as if we don't know how to just be with God without quiet, without orchestration, without form. We've lost that. Do you remember hymns? Had beginning, middle, end, story, 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 chorus. And they took us through a process. Sometimes worship noise needs to stop. Sound needs to stop. Songs need to end. It is not less worshipful or less spiritual to have heard a hymn, participated in a song or experience, and said, that's enough. I've heard, I've experienced, I don't need to hear it 20 times. I can let that take me to the next place with God and enjoy the quiet or the sound of the birds or my thoughts or his thoughts, and go to a different kind of worship than the mind-numbing, ear-numbing, soul-numbing repeating of things. I don't think that's always healthy. Just a thought. So one of the things I appreciated about this album, Meditations, was that each one of them, he said everything he needed to say in a little over 3 minutes. This is what I do when I write a song. Some of them are 5 to 7 minutes long, but there's that much content in the story, not just because I'm doing it over and over again. Can you think about that? Can you think about that and be free to finish a thought with God and not feel like you're less spiritual because you're done with the sound? It's something to think about. It was transporting. It was wonderful. Again, Meditations album at jeanmarcledoux.com. And I'm going to play you tomorrow the next one in the series, which is called Tempest. I'm going to give you a tiny little taste of it, just so you can't wait to be back here tomorrow and hear the rest. And then I'm going to turn it off, okay? You ready? This is track 2 of Meditations by Jean-Marc Ledoux at jeanmarcledoux.com. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Don't you kind of want to go deeper? Well, he puts all these layers in there. Here comes cello. Come on! We'll play this one for you guys tomorrow. Do something that scares you, like maybe